All right, in today's lesson, we're going to be talking about converting measurements. And in this specific video, we're going to be talking about converting customary or standardized units. Customary and standardized units are going to be the measurements that we typically use in the U.S., like miles, yard, feet, cups, ounces, pints, quarts, pounds. Those are all customary or standardized measurements. Okay, so in our first example, we're going to have 36 inches. And I'm going to want to ask you, how many feet is that? Okay? Well, if I drew out a ruler, I got out a ruler, I would see that there are 12 inches and 1 foot. So we can already say that inches is a smaller unit of measure because there are more inches in 1 foot. Okay, so then I need to see how many rulers am I going to have in order to get 36 inches. Well, 12 inches would give me 1. 12 inches again would give me 24, and another 12 inches would give me 36. So now I have 1, 2, 3 feet. So 36 inches is the same as 3 feet. Okay, but we're not always going to want to draw things out. So how are we going to do this algebraically? Well, if I had 96 inches, and I wanted to know how many feet that is, I could take the number of inches I'm given and divide it by the number of inches in a foot. So there are 12 inches and 1 foot. So if I take 96 and divide it by 12, I'm taking again the number I was given divided by the number of inches in 1 foot, and I will get the answer of 8. So there are 96 inches and 8 feet. Okay, so now we need to stop and think about our answer. Is this reasonable? Well, inches is my smaller unit of measure, so I should have more inches than feet. I do. I have 96 inches and only 8 feet. Therefore, I could assume I am correct because my smaller unit of measure is my biggest number. All right, we can use the same concept, but we can use it with other measurements. So, for example, if I have 64 ounces, and I want to know how many pounds is that? Well, we know that there are 16 ounces and 1 pound. So if I take the number of ounces I'm given, which is 64, and divide it by the number of ounces in 1 pound, which is 16, I should get the number of pounds in 64 ounces. 64 divided by 16 is 4. So 64 ounces is the same as 4 pounds. All right, we're going to do one more example with this topic. So we want to figure out if I have 20 quarts. 20 quarts. I want to know how many gallons is that? Okay, well, if you look at your reference sheet, you can see that there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. So again, I should take the number of quarts, 20, and divide it by the number of quarts in 1 gallon, which is 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So there are 20 quarts in 5 gallons. Again, if I wanted to check my answer and make sure it makes sense, quarts is my smallest unit of measure. So I should have more quarts than gallons. I have 20 quarts and only 5 gallons. Therefore, I could estimate or assume that my answer is correct and makes sense. All right, we're going to go on to a different type of example. So this time, I'm going to give you the smaller unit of measure, and you're going to have to figure out how many inches are in a foot. So for example, if I have something like 55 yards. And I want to know, how many feet is that? Well, this time I'm given the bigger measurement. So if I have a yardstick, I could see that this is 1 yard and there are 3 feet in there. So if I take the number of yards, 55, and multiply it by the number of feet in a yard, which is 3, I should get my answer. 55 times 3 is 108. So there are 55 yards and 108 feet. Again, if I want to check for reasonableness, yards is my biggest measurement, so it should have fewer of them. I have 55 yards, which is my bigger measurement, and 108 feet. I could estimate that this is correct. All right, if I have another example, this time I have sorry, I lost my place. This time I'm going to have 1.5 miles. And I want to know, how many feet is that? Okay, well, if I look at my reference sheet, there are 5,280 feet and 1 mile. So if I take the number of miles I'm given and multiply it times the number of feet in 1 mile, I should get how many feet are in 1.5 miles. So when I multiply that out, and yes, you can use a calculator, you're going to get 7,920 feet in 1.5 miles. Again, I'm checking for reasonableness. A mile is the bigger measurement, so I should have fewer of them. I have way more feet than miles, so I could estimate that I am correct. We're going to take it just one step further. So this time, I'm going to say that you have 3 yards. I want to know, how many inches is that? Okay, if you're using your reference sheet, it's going to tell you how many inches in a yard, but we're going to figure it out without using our reference sheet. So I know that there are 12 inches and 1 foot. And I also know that there are 3 feet and 1 yard. So if I take the number of inches times the number of feet, I should get the number of inches in a yard. 12 times 3 is 36. So there are 36 inches and 1 yard. Okay, and if you look at your reference sheet, we can check to make sure we're correct. So now that I know that there are 36 inches and 1 yard, I have 3 yards, so the number of yards times the number of inches in 1 yard. 3 times 36 is going to give me 108. So there are 108 inches and 3